Brian, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
All right.
I like your hat.
Yeah, let me get Scott. He's waiting to. I gave him the link, but he said it wasn't working. I thought, well, it's working for me, so it looked like it was. So
Oh, wonder what the issue is.
You know,
I'll find it.
it was slow today for some reason, kicking in. Takes a while for it to wind up. None. I'm going to go with none.
With none what?
None your business, that's what. None of the background. I don't want to use a fancy background.
Oh, Ron's going with the blur look.
Yeah. Well, a Bigfoot's always blurry, right? It's just.
Yeah, perfect.
I just text Scott and told him try it again. He was having issues.
Does he need a pass code and an ID? Some people need that.
I don't know. You want to call him?
If you, yeah, whatever. We're not this is not emergency. This is going to be a long show. So we got
not necessarily. How long do you got, Ron?
no
You
pressure.
guys got?
I don't know how long Scott's got. I'm okay, but when you say a long show, do you mean 45 minutes or 2 hours and 45 minutes?
Probably. Well, you know, a couple hours anyway.
What else? It's just no pressure is what I'm getting at. The point is no.
Okay.
Whenever you
Try
feel
to
like
email
pulling,
Nick again.
whenever you feel like pulling
Still
the plug,
getting
put it
same
that way.
thing. Address is invalid, it says.
Address is invalid.
That's
Huh.
what he's saying to me. Yeah, he said still getting the same thing. Address is invalid.
Let me see if I can find the pass. Oh, hold on a minute. You want to give him the meeting ID and the passcode? Maybe that'll help.
Well, it might be better just cut out the middleman here and just tell him directly what to do.
Well,
what?
Except that I can't see it and type it. When I start typing it to him, then I can't see it. Hey, you gave the wrong ID, Beans. It's 829-817-4496. What are you talking?
What? That's not
the
participant aid.
The one you email.
You didn't say the meeting ID. This is a participant ID. Okay, the meeting ID is 829-881. Oh yeah.
Let me call him right quick. I'll just tell him to check I think because I got on with the ID you sent me email. I didn't use the one for the Facebook.
Meeting ID. You know what he said about meeting ID? There's a participant ID, a meeting ID, a passcode, and an encryption, some kind.
Yeah, I don't know which one's which because normally we don't have to use that stuff. Hey, everybody, we're on the air anyway, so.
Oh, are we?
Hey, man.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you try the
What's
email?
Going on?
Well, I'm on. It's using the same one I emailed to you. The first one though is just a participant. When you get on the second one that I sent email wise.
Okay, I'm okay. I just tried his email to me.
What's
so
that?
I'm going back to your. I just tried his email link to me.
His email?
And it didn't work. It did the same thing.
Did you try my email link to you?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, that should work because that worked for me.
Let's see. No, it says Safari cannot open the page because the address is invalid.
You got your Wi-Fi turned on?
Yeah, I'm sure I do. I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah, my Wi-Fi's on.
Huh. Well, which one do you guys want?
Is it asking for a meeting ID or a passcode or anything like that, Scott?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Okay. Are we on? What? What's going on? I'm still not getting on any kind of a Zoom.
Little chaos in the morning.
Email more from his.
Always starts the day out right.
Oh, somebody says try using Chrome. Can you change your to Chrome?
Can you change it to Chrome? Oh, I just lost him.
Well, the Zoom meeting link should work. That's what we've done that for 3 years now.
It's
So,
working. It's something on, he's not a real techie. Here he is. Hang on a second. Yes.
Well, most of our best shows
Hello?
start with
Hello.
chaos.
Well,
Hi.
the show's on. We're talking about you now, so you really ought to come on. You really should come on and defend yourself.
I can't.
Huh?
Nothing that I'm hitting here on these Zoom links is putting me through. It's all telling me, both on your email and on his, it's saying Safari cannot open the page because the address is invalid.
What? Try using Chrome.
Did you try Chrome?
I think I'm on Chrome. I'm sure I'm on Chrome. I'm on
no, he's on Safari.
You're still on Safari, I think.
well,
Let me
yeah, but I'm on my iPad. That takes, isn't that?
let me give him some
Well,
another way of doing it.
accept
Tell
the
Here, wait, listen to this, Scott. Here it comes.
Here we go.
if you've got Zoom on your applications, then open up Zoom in your application, and it'll say join a new meeting, and then when you join a new meeting, we'll give you the ID and the passcode. That ought to work.
Did you get that?
I have not read in my email.
Oh, wait a minute. I got my earplug. You may not have heard him. Say it again.
Okay, on
Right,
his
can
pad,
I
on his
repeat?
notepad, on his pad,
On your pad,
open Zoom.
open Zoom.
Okay, good.
That's
Okay,
the
go to Zoom
application.
first.
Zoom.
I just did this Zoom thing like on Monday with another guy.
Okay, you got Zoom
Hold on,
open?
let me see. I don't have like a.
And it'll say
Well,
join
normally
a
I
meeting.
wouldn't have to have that downloaded, would I, to accept Zoom?
Or you have to say yes for Zoom if you get that option.
Well, I did. Well, it doesn't give me an option. Let me look at that again. Okay, I've got yours up. All it has is a link.
A
So
link?
I go there. All it has is a link, and it takes me to Zoom. And it says Safari cannot open a page because the address is invalid.
Oh,
Is that because I don't have the app
you have to have the app. Yeah,
opened up?
open up the app from your
All right.
pad. Instead of going through us, go open up your own Zoom.
Here, let me just get the app going on here, and I don't know if that will help anything.
Well, it's worth a try.
All right, hold on.
This is harder. This is harder than trying to find Sasquatch, the elusive Zoom meeting.
Yeah, let's see. Okay.
There's only a couple 100,000 people listening right now. So don't worry about it.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is this live?
Yes.
Yeah, this is live. live.
Hey, don't worry about it.
This up before. Okay, I'm just about got the Zoom thing going on here. Good God. How long is this supposed to last?
Well, it depends on you.
Jesus Christ, man. All right, hold on.
Well, we got 3 hours
Oh,
set
this is gonna
aside,
help.
so we can fumble around the whole time.
Oh, it's a join meeting. Okay, join meeting. All right.
Join meeting, yeah.
Join with a personal link name. Jesus. Scott. All right.
Or you could join from Facebook. Oh, there you go. Oh, that's Sam.
Okay. I can't hear you I can't hear you at all, man. Ron, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
Wait a
Well,
minute.
it might say join from Facebook or join on Facebook, so you can do that too.
when it says join a meeting, you click on that. Click on
Now
join.
go back to the Facebook thing.
No, just stay where you are. It's just,
I can't hear him at all, Ron.
Stay the way you are. Just a second. Go ahead.
All
Right.
right.
click on join meeting, and it'll take you to another page, and then it'll ask you for meeting ID and
Hang
passcode.
on. Click on join meeting. It should take you to another ID and then a passcode.
Where am I?
Don't worry, we're not concerned. If we were professionals, we might be. We thrive on chaos, right, Mr. Beans?
Okay, it says join meeting. Okay, am I supposed to give a passcode here?
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
the
does
passcode?
it ask you? It should ask you for a meeting ID and a passcode.
It should ask you for meeting ID and a passcode.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
it
it
does.
says meeting ID.
All right, tell them this.
join with a
Here,
personal
just a
link.
second. Listen, here comes
Okay.
meeting ID.
Meeting ID is 829
829
8817
8817 17. Yeah.
8817.
8817
Okay.
4496
496
4496.
4496.
What? Oh, what? What should I take? Okay. Start from the beginning quickly.
Okay, start over.
829
881
7.
7496.
That's right. That ought to do it.
That
Okay,
should do
then
it.
Okay.
then passcode. It'll say
Passcode.
passcode.
Oh. Invalid meeting ID. Okay.
Try it again.
Join meeting.
829 8817
Okay.
4496.
Give me that number again quickly, and then I guess I need some. Huh? 88.
Well, the thing is, I'm trying to go from here to here is there. Okay, what is it? 829? Frank?
829 8817
829 8817
4496.
4496.
4496.
Yes.
Okay. Now I hit.
Hit enter. It should give you a passcode. Should ask
Should
you.
hit join or put passcode. Join with a personal link name.
No, you want the passcode
Personal link
737.
name. Scott, I guess.
Here's the passcode. 7.
John. Okay.
What is it, Frank?
Passcode is 737
737
Christ.
737 166.
Not giving me a place to put the fucking passcode.
737 166.
Hold on, man. All right, just give me that passcode because I've entered the other one twice and it doesn't take me anywhere. Just give me this one. 7.
What's that passcode again?
737
737
737
166.
166.
166. Okay, so I'm going to try to hit join again.
You hit join again then?
I don't remember. Should work.
Let's just try to return here. Okay. Nothing fucking happens, man. I'm not getting. I don't know what could possibly be the problem, man.
Hey, is there? You're on Facebook. He's on Facebook, right, Ron?
What are you on, Scott?
I'm on my iPad.
No, but he does. He has Facebook, though, right?
Email and then going to the. And then I'm on the Zoom.
Do you have Facebook?
The Zoom app? Yes, I have. Yeah.
Well, because there should be somewhere where it says you can bypass those and just say join with Facebook. Isn't that?
Let me go there.
That's how I do it. Is is there somewhere on there where you can, where it says join with Facebook?
That's at the very beginning. He's already past that. We're doing it another way, Brian.
Maybe one of you guys should call him.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to call him, Mr. Beans?
This is weird, man, because I get on Zoom all the time here, man.
Well, it's
Just Monday, I had like I'm pretty sure it was on Zoom. I had like a 2-hour interview on Monday.
well. Have you had any missing time with aliens or anything like that?
Oh, that happens all the fucking time.
Just asking. Maybe you should reboot your computer and start over.
I'm not on my computer. I'm on my iPad. My
Well,
computer
iPad's the
is
same.
rebooting, trying to get to the going to with the Look,
This
why
is
don't you just send me the Zoom meeting again?
Send it again. It
Okay.
hasn't changed, but I can do that.
Okay. Well, no. I mean, okay. Hold on.
Just make sure you're getting on the email that I sent you, not the Facebook one.
I'm looking at the email right now. And I also tried it on the Pork and Beans show. The same thing. So I'm hitting it again. Zoom. Welcome meeting. Zoom would like to access the camera. Okay, hold on. All right, okay. All right, now I'm on a camera.
Hey, well,
Doesn't
that's
matter.
that.
Hold on, I just hit join. Okay. All right, hold on.
Is that iPad?
Now
Are you?
something's
Is your
happening.
name iPad?
Yeah. Let him in.
No, I think something happened right there, man.
Yeah, you're coming on, I think. If your name is iPad,
Yes.
trying to
So where
connect
do I
the
go?
audio.
To hear others, please join audio and Wi-Fi.
Recording in progress.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ, man. You already been on all this whole freaking time? No.
Down at the bottom. There you are, Scott. Now we got you.
Okay. All right.
Hey, what's all that feedback now?
What do I have? Do I have to hit the button? Leave me. Got it. Okay, there.
Fantastic. This
Christ.
is great. This is great.
Okay.
How the fuck are you?
This is why we call it the Pork and Bean Show instead of not the
Time's
Wait a
up.
minute.
Thanks.
Bigfoot Professional Organization.
Time's up. Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Now we gotta plug in. Oh my God, you guys.
I'm going to change your name from iPad to Scott Nelson. Is
I'm
that
hanging
okay?
up my
Hey,
phone
it only
now.
took 20 minutes. That's great. It set a new record.
That's the best opening we've ever had. Honestly, that was the best. That was the best. And because we live on chaos, eh? So
Hey, don't we all? Don't we all? Thank God for chaos. Yeah, because hey, it gives us some adventure in our lives. Look at
that's
us.
right. That's right. That's
Look
right.
at us.
man.
What are we doing? what the fuck are we talking about here? Right?
We're talking about mythological creatures who can go invisible.
Oh.
Well, Scott's not into that. He's into language.
Well, yes, I am into the possibility of disappearing creatures. let's say that.
I'll give you the theory behind that.
That's good that you
But-
are. That's good that you are open to that, because otherwise I'd be insane.
Well,
Which
listen,
which I may be anyway. But
let me quote something right quick. Can I do that?
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Dr.
Put
Paul
him on the
Dirac,
big screen, Brian.
Dr. Paul Dirac in 1933, physicist, won the Nobel Prize for energy antimatter. Antimatter is, you know what? It's opposite of matter. Matter and energy are interchangeable. So if somehow they can change anything, can change their matter into energy, it becomes invisible to our eye's perception. Okay, that was established also by CERN in 2012, but you also got Einstein that says his equation states that energy and matter are interchangeable. So if that's the case, you can get the right frequency, you can change matter. And that's how I think the masters did healings. I think that's how, that's how everything's done in the universe, according to Dr. Christopher Brer at West Texas A&M. Everything through the micro to the macro works through quantum physics. We only live in a three-dimensional environment, which just gives us our three dimensions, but there's so many more out there. So there, I got that out of the way. Matter and energy are interchangeable. So can they disappear? They go out of our perception, which is another dimension of what it is. I don't know, but they also wouldn't have any density then, so they wouldn't leave a track wave, which we've run across before.
Yeah.
And you were there on one of them, Scott.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
There, I've
Well,
said it.
I've actually
Okay.
seen them. I've actually seen them materialize right before my eyes. So on 3 times.
Well, there
So-
you are. That's when they can change their
Well,
frequency back
Yeah.
from energy to matter.
So they got
think
something
I-
going on. that's
I
for
think
sure.
they do it through the vocal mechanism personally, because their vocal mechanism is so expansive, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it's fun. It's funny you said that because I've seen them do like what you say vocal, and it makes sense to me because I saw them once do it. I thought they were doing like a breathing thing, almost like a Lamaze class, like he like how they teach women how to do things, like like in like a bad
Oh,
movie, like
Jesus.
a bad 80s movie where they're teaching like
Sasquatch
some
in a
man.
Lamaze class. I like it.
Yeah, but like that's what it looked like. They were doing like a breathing thing, but it could have very well been a vocal thing. Like same concept. I just maybe
Yeah,
I
you
was just
probably-
off by a little bit.
probably wouldn't have heard it, but you saw them disappear, correct?
Yeah, right.
I've talked to a lot of people that saw that, and I had to find the answer to that. And I think the answer lies in antimatter.
It lies in their breath. It's chi. They build up a lot of energy of chi in their body, which is the life force energy, and then their atoms just expand a little bit and lets the light go through them. That's how it works. Takes a lot of energy, a high key emotion, and visualization. Yeah. They
Not only-
they actually taught me how to do it, and they got me going one night, breathing really hard, really fast, really deep, until I started. It's like that goes on for about 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and you start to panic. And when I stood up, when I sat up in bed, I looked at my leg, and my left leg had disappeared. So that's why I know. That's why I know they do it through their breath, because they showed me how to do it.
Well, it's better than the
But
third leg
that's the
disappearing.
energy transmission. If you want to know a deeper explanation for it, look for this guy named Dan Winter on YouTube, and it has to do with the implosion of energy, right? And the implosion of energy, which changes the energy from a wave energy to straightforward energy, a line energy. So that's how all the psychic stuff works. It's just exactly what you're saying. Is energy can be changed into matter, and matter can be changed into energy. It just takes more biophysical energy. You increase the biophysical energy frequency, and that's what does it. But it also has an emotional component to it. You have to really want that, and you have to be able to visualize that. And it's high energy, high key emotions, and high key visualization. Yeah, that's why you see them when they're moving around like this, and then all of a sudden they disappear. Is they're pumping up their emotions and they're pumping up their energy. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's better than your third leg disappearing, Beans, especially if you're on a date, right?
I thought about that, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Hey, that happens to the best of us, man. You know?
You say that guy's name was Don Williams?
I don't know. No, it's Dan
Williams?
Dan Winters.
Dan Winter. Yeah, and he's got all kinds of scientific stuff. He's a electrical engineer, and he's kind of a genius. Takes a while. You might have to watch a couple of his shows to understand what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's related to Donna Summer, but it's later in the year.
What?
Anyway,
I get it.
and,
I
anyway,
love
but
a-
you know,
I love a good
not
corny
only
joke.
not only can they like dematerialize, we may as well get right into the, and then, you know, we're gonna get into you guys' stories, of course, but they can also, just with their thoughts and with their energy, they can shapeshift into any form that they want. And your daughter actually, Ron, has seen that.
Well,
You know her.
no, she's seen it between her and my granddaughter, Wendy. And Scott, you were there when Rhonda had that
Yes.
sighting. And Wendy
Yes.
went over. Wendy was walking over, probably 70 yards away or something like that. And Rhonda thought, well, Wendy will see this thing when it comes out. And we asked Wendy when she got back, did she see anything unusual? And she said, yeah, I seen a big white wolf. He stopped and looked right at me and then ran up the hill. I said, you see a coyote? There's no wolves here. And she said, no, it was a wolf. And she swore him down. She's a graduate out of Santa Cruz. So just saying, she's no dummy, but she.
No.
So anyway, if you want to get into the Skinwalker Ranch, they swear them down. That's what happens. If they can change their energy into matter and matter into energy.
I do not believe they're actually changing their matter into different forms. I think they are putting out an illusion. I think that's what I think is happening. I don't think they're actually transforming. Because
what science you got to go by with that, Scott?
The same science you use.
No, this is called
science of the mind, man.
Well,
it's called guess till it sounds right.
You know, though, but they can have us perceive any visual, audible, or sensory thing that they want. I've experienced that many times. So, and I can give you an example.
I would believe that.
I mean, they really can. So maybe you may be onto something, Scott, because one time I was walking on a forest path with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 8 feet wide, the path. All of a sudden, 3/4 of the way across the path, the Sasquatch materializes out of thin air, fully materializes. Mm-hmm. And I said to my friend, did you see that Sasquatch? And he said, you mean that little dog? He saw a little terrier doing exactly the same things that I saw the Sasquatch do. The thing is that they did not want him to see them in their form. He wasn't ready for that. So they gave him the perception of a small dog, and I saw the Sasquatch.
Well, conform to what you're thinking, Scott. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like, I think they play with our minds. I think they can make any sound that we've ever heard in the woods from any animal that they've ever heard. I think they can mimic those sounds, including humans. You and I've heard them when I'm 2 feet away from you. I've heard them speak a human voice, and So I think they can mimic any sound.
Even mechanical sounds.
Oh, yes, Ron will attest to that.
I've heard mechanical sounds,
Absolutely mechanical sounds. And I think they can mask their them being able to be seen somehow.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually turn into a white wolf, a gigantic white wolf, like what your daughter saw and Wendy. Rhonda, I think they just make that, they somehow can create that image.
Put it into our field of perception.
Exactly.
That's possible.
And Ron, we're talking the same thing as vibration. It's only a change in vibration. If they know how to do that,
Well, the way I look at that, like the vibration, like the frequency they're on, like it's almost like it's almost like being on a walkie-talkie. Like if you're trying to reach somebody a mile away on a walkie-talkie and you're on the wrong, if you're on the wrong setting,
frequency,
if they're on 3 and you're on 2, you don't get them. And that's
right.
kind of how it is with me. Like sometimes when I'm not vibrating or on the right frequency out there, I don't get a lot. But when I get in that right frame of like where I need to reach them at, which I've kind of dialed in, which sounds nuts to some people, but I've started to dial in what works for me, and and I seem to be able to reach them when I get to that point a lot better. And that's kind of how I picture it. It's like, all right, like I got to dial in and find the right like frequency that they're on.
Do
I
you
agree
think?
with-
Do you feel
Go-
that they try to communicate with you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
It
Me
seems
too.
it seems to
And
be
you
on their
others,
terms.
you,
Yeah, it seems
and
to
I
be on
know
their
Ron.
terms at
I
this
know
point.
Ron. I know Ron is quite sure that they were trying to communicate with him, and I believe they were too.
Absolutely.
Oh,
That-
for
that's
sure.
what-
Because they slowed the prosody of their deliverance up enough that a human could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Ron knows that.
I don't know what they said though, but I know they were slowing it down. Or like that's
Yeah, absolutely.
census here.
Absolutely, they will. Yes.
And there was definitely some questions asking the inflections of those.
Yes. Yes.
When you
And
talk
they were
about,
making statements.
Yeah.
And there was a song. The female one was singing to you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, yeah.
Why didn't you tell me that before?
First time in the history of the internet.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I didn't.
She's going. Vowaku. Way back in the distance. She's way off in the distance by that time. She's going, Vowaku.
Stop
Just
it,
like
Scott.
that.
You're turning me on.
I know she wasn't as good looking as me, man.
You're about as
said that
hairy.
You know.
when you asked if they were communicating with us, I thought you meant like telepathically or like with lessons and teachings and stuff.
No, I'm talking about. Well, I don't know
It's
about
just-
any of that. I felt that out with myself out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I've
That's
been
what
out
I
in the woods, I've felt a couple times the infrasound and stuff like that. But I'm just talking about
The language.
vocally. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like to
Yes.
I like to back up what Scott was talking about. They can implant any kind of image in your head or any kind of understanding, or even make you get confused and lose time. Is that if you look at just in human hypnosis, stage hypnosis, people's hypnosis, a good hypnotist can make you not see what's before your eyes, and they do it on stage, and everybody's amazed, or see something that is not there. This is just basic hypnosis, and it doesn't have to be a super duper lights out trance. It can be the very mild trance, and a
Happens to
hypnotist
me
can
all the
do that.
time. Happens to me all the time.
Yeah. Well, TV and the internet does it too. But
I mean,
Me too.
David Copperfield used to make what, like a train disappear, right? Was it him? Wasn't it like David
Oh
Copperfield?
man!
all that kind of stuff, a lot of that stuff
Absolutely.
is trickery. But I'm just talking about hypnosis, which is relatively
for sure,
easy.
yeah.
to
Well,
get
let me
into.
tell
Well,
you one
that's what
story.
I mean. That's what
Tell
imagery is. I mean, these magicians. There's illusion. It's all illusion anyway. Everything that we see in our universe is illusion,
Yeah.
and we
There you
essentially
go. Now
created
you're talking.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Now
Yes.
you're talking.
Yeah.
I just
One
wanted to
time-
say, before Ron says this, is to me, it's an absolute fact, just to reiterate, that they can put any visual, audible, or sensory perception
think-
into our head. And they can
Yes.
do it. They could be 4 individuals together. 2 people can experience it. 2 people won't even hear anything. And I'm talking about stuff like an
Really?
avalanche sound or something. Yeah, like something.
So
boom.
you're saying they can direct it to individuals.
Certain
Yeah,
frequencies.
yeah.
I
It
mean,
can be-
so that
it can
only
be-
certain
that's what I-
individuals get it and others don't.
The
There
same
can be
thing.
4
It's the
people,
same
yeah.
thing with the ETs. There'll be like 6 people out looking for the ETs
Wow.
at night, and then one guy says, "Look at that," and then 4 of them won't be able to see it. Where, and they
Huh.
right there. So it's the
I've had
same kind of a thing.
I've actually had experience where there's 4 people walking along, and 2 of us heard something that sounded like a nuclear bomb or something, and the 2 other people did not hear it at all. So that's a fact to me. Anyway, Ron, what was your story?
That's called flatulent.
Well, yeah,
Ron,
they
Ron,
couldn't
you
hear it, but
always
they
said
could-
you always
could
said
sure
you weren't
smell it.
going to tell that story, Ron.
All right, here, let me tell you this story. There was I think four of us in the shelter, maybe five of us at
Oh,
this
no.
time in the 70s. And we thought
Yeah.
the camp was being ripped apart out there. I write
Mhm.
about this too in one of my books. And really it was like some bear was tearing everything up. And we looked out there later and nothing had changed. So they may have been putting all that in all five of us, all our heads at the same time, but we'd all have to be on the same frequency, or else they had a way of directing to different frequencies of where our brain was, because we thought we heard this, all of us did. And we all looked out there later when the commotion stopped and nothing had changed around the campsite. And now when the sounds we heard sound like everything we'd hauled up there with our mules, everything was being tore apart. So anyway, I'm just saying that. So that would fall right into what you're talking about here.
That's really common, Ron. A lot of people have experienced that. My wife has experienced it. I've experienced it. Sounds like there's construction going on right behind your tent or something like, and you know, like no doubt about it. You get out and there's not even a leaf disturbed. I mean, it's once again, they put that into your field of perception.
Well, you wonder how much of the stuff we heard up there was actually happening then, or if it was been put at us, you know, but then we recorded, so it really did happen, I guess. You recorded.
So I just wanted to, I wanted to get into how, and I wanted to ask Scott how, you know, because I know a little bit about a story, how he found out about the language or whatever, but I wanted to relate one thing to you that's both of you guys that kind of connected with what Scott was saying about how they talk and you can hear like the inflection in their voice. And,
there's
and how they state certain things. Like I heard one time I had an amazing day with a friend of mine, and we heard them talking for approximately 10 minutes straight. Okay, really? Like really loud, and it was like it sounded like
out in the woods.
Out in the woods. The male sounded like something like that, right?
Okay.
But I got the impression that it was well, I knew it was a language anyway. You know, from some of the work you guys do, and just because you know, you can just tell. But
you can tell once
you're
clued into it. Once you're clued into the fact that they have a language, you hear it the first moment they start to speak. You can hear it.
Yeah, but it was like, if I'm going to say, and so anyway, and this was, you know, and I make points and emphasize certain things. I heard that in their language. There was emphasis on certain phrases and words.
Yep.
Yeah. And the first thing I thought of was Ron Morehead, and I said, "Geez, that's just like Ron Morehead stuff."
Did you hear about that lady on Sasquatch Chronicles, episode 515? She was over here from the UK, and she went over to the beach to get some pictures of the sun going down, and she's seen 5 of these things walk along the beach while she's sitting up on the rocks. They didn't see her, but she started looking at them. She couldn't believe it because no radar, no Bigfoot on her radar at all. But I interviewed her personally, and she was very, very credible. She's a linguist in 7 languages she can speak and write, and she's in the UK. And this happened to her years ago, but she reported to police. She saw the big male go out into the water at the ocean's edge. He was picking up seaweed and throwing it back to 2 females, and they were doing something to it and then throwing it over their shoulder. And there was 2 little adolescents there too, she said. So she thought she'd get a picture. She picked up a camera, and she dropped the lens cover off the camera. She's so nervous, and this male come out of the water screaming at her and started coming toward her. At that time, she thought she's gone, but the females stopped it. So I think the females kind of protect us a little bit, and I've heard this before too. But I'm wondering if maybe the male and female that was arguing up there, if she wasn't telling the male to leave us alone, don't eat us or something like that. I don't know. But I think the males could get a very aggressive, I think. And she passed out, by the way, and then she ended up by her car. How she got up there, she don't know, but she thinks she was dragged up there. It's episode 515 on the Sasquatch Chronicles, and it's really revealing. I think. And it really, she even drew me a picture and sent it to me, you know, what this thing looked like. She said when it screamed at her, its neck would swell out. I thought that was interesting, like air sacs in a primate.
The big males seem to act a lot more differently when, like, more I think they're more like, I don't want to say aggressive, but like,
Intimidating.
but aggressive
Protective.
when the females and the kids are around and stuff. Like, I don't know if that's a protective thing, you know, like, it's all interesting. Like I had an experience where I was protected by a Sasquatch. It was a male that protected me. But when I was leaving, I was froze because of what happened. And the only way I can explain it, the only way out was to go through this thick brush that I couldn't get out, or up this huge hill that always gave me trouble. It has loose dirt. Like I always fall back down. Like I have to put my hands in it and really get dirty and like dig my hands in the dirt to get up it. I have to find trees to pull on and stuff. When I went up this thing, it was like something put me on, like, it was almost like I was like in something, the palm of something's hand, and it just like in like a King Kong movie when he's got the girl in his hand. It was like that, like something just took me and put me up top, or like I was on like an escalator or something. Like it was just like that. Like I can't explain how I got up there, but
Was it because it was so easy, or it was actually the sensation of
man, easy
picking you
is
up?
like, yeah, easy is like an understatement. It's like it was like I didn't do anything. I didn't even do anything to get up there. Like it just, I was just there.
Oh, you don't even remember the journey up there? Or?
Not really. I when I got to the top, I remember taking my camera and facing it this way because he was still screaming. He was still screaming down there, and so I kind of like captured a little bit of it, you know, and then walked away. But yeah, I don't. It was when I had that stupid encounter with that thing that I don't know what it was. I can only refer to it as like a rake because that's the only thing I've seen people talk about, you know.
That
Something
sounds
that
a
looks
lot like
similar.
teleportation. I
Yeah.
experienced teleportation 4 times one night because I was taken on a craft, and then I came down for a break, and then I went back up to the craft. So it was like 4 times actually. And the thing about it, that it was astounding. The whole story was astounding, but the thing that I walked away from it was I was on this craft in a, I don't know if it was a craft or an alternate reality, and then I came back down to my room in my house, and then back up again, and then back down, and I felt nothing. There was no change except my perception when I was there and my perception when I was at my house. It was just instantaneously, no body, no sensation, no movement, no nothing. So that's kind of what reminds me of teleportation. That's how the ETs take people from, through their house or wherever they go up to a craft or stuff. That people are always talking about that. That's what it feels like. There's no sensation at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I couldn't. If I was to describe it, I might have said that I walked up the hill, but I don't have any recollection of doing that. You know what I mean? Like I
No, it
just don't.
sounds to me like the whoever was protecting you from whatever this creature was just
Right, right.
moved you. They just
Yeah.
moved you.
But yeah, he's like he's huge. Don't get me wrong. He's a huge Sasquatch. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, doesn't have. It's not like he physically put me there, you know. So it's, I don't know. Like it could be what you're saying. Very well. Very well.
Yeah,
Well,
well, if you didn't feel some big giant hand grabbing you and picking you up,
It's just
probably
one of those
teleportation.
things. There's so many of those unexplained things that I've like I don't want to say like I accept it, but I've got comfortable like dealing with all these question marks to an extent. You know what I mean?
I've had stuff like that too, where I walked up hills and whatever, and it felt like something was pushing me from behind. It was so easy. I've actually even felt scans coming up in the bottom of my feet all the way up through my body, and then I just ran up a mountain practically. I mean, just stuff like that. So they
Have they ever showed
Wait,
you like
Stop it.
have they
You're
ever
the one.
showed you old memories when they were present that you didn't know they were present? So like prior to my first, what I thought was my first encounter or my first sighting or my first experience bumping into a Sasquatch, they had showed me later on that they were present in my life way before I thought they were. And so there was a point where I was a kid and I was at a beach, and all my friends used to run up this sand dune. It was this huge sand dune, and we'd all race up it. and I would beat them every time by so much because somehow I knew that there were this spot where there was like these vines that were almost like steps. And when you put your foot in them the right way, and you know, your body's different when you're a kid. This would hurt me today, but I would spring in there and they would spring me up to the next one. And I would pull myself out and I would always beat everybody to the top. So that was my memory, was, you know, my vision, my visual. The only thing I could see is through my eyes, right? And then I would get to the top and look back down. So the changed memory was this. Now I go into this 360 view of myself and what's behind me. And so now I'm looking out at the water, and then they would come around and look at what's behind me, and the Sasquatch would be there. And they were telling me that that was something that they were teaching me early on, was like how to get up there, and they were present. And you know, it was just one of the times they showed me, like, I don't have a name for it, but it's like a I forget what I was calling it for a while, but like an alternate memory type thing. It's like seeing it in a 360 view. It's odd, but it's cool.
Well, nothing about them surprises me. So Scott,
Yes.
I know a little bit about you. Although
Okay.
when I learned a little bit about you, yeah, you were kind of like, you looked a lot different. What happened?
Well, a little bit about me is better than too much about me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway,
Yeah.
your son came to you and showed you a recording, and you were a linguist with the neighbor.
No,
Oh,
we found a recording together.
Okay. And
Because he was looking for a project to write on a paper for school, for middle school. He was 12. And he said, you know, like all 12-year-olds, either UFOs, Loch Ness Monster, or Bigfoot. So I said, well, you know, choose one. He said, okay, let's do it on Bigfoot. It's okay. What do you want to know? We got a new thing out called Google. I said, what do you want to know? He says, what do Bigfoot sound like? And I remembered some B-grade 70s movie, right? And I let out some kind of, they sound like, well, oh. And I didn't even know how close I was at the time, right? But I just, he said, Dad, that's not what Bigfoots sound like. I said, well, let's Google it. So I literally Googled Bigfoot sounds, literally. And it brought me immediately to little snippets of Ron's recordings on the BFRO. And I only played like 2 or 3 of them, and I knew immediately what I was hearing.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. So I was playing them over and over again. And my son said, Dad, what's the matter? I said, son, there's language in here. He says, no, Dad, no, it sounds like a bunch of monkeys fighting, or coyotes that are fighting in the forest. I said, no, Stevie. These creatures are speaking a language here. And I knew that from the first moment I heard it.
Yeah.
That and 2 other things is that it was first off, it was not a human being. Second of all, it was a language, and it was most definitely a language. And the third thing was that it could not have been faked. And those are the 3 things that I stand by from the very beginning of all of this.
Yeah.
Back in 2008 when I first heard them.
So what is it about your expertise in being a linguist that made you deduce that it was a language? What factors in the speech that you heard?
I think the thing that let me hear something that other people couldn't hear, that my son could not hear, is in 20 years of being a cryptolinguist involved in the collection of the human voice on tape, right? And then the manipulation of the human voice on tape in order to get the language down on paper. Okay. First we collect it, then we then we have to transcribe it, get it on paper, then we have to translate it, then we have to break out any codes that are in there, and then we have to report it to NSA. It all goes to NSA. Anything to do with signals goes to NSA. Okay, so that was always our job.
I want to throw something in there, Scott.
Yeah.
People don't know, but he's a two-time graduate of Defense Language Institute and in Monterey, California. Vetted very well. The master there, whoever it is in charge, he said he's not just qualified, he's very well qualified for a two-time graduate, because there's only a handful of people that have the artistic ability with perfect hearing like Scott has. There's not that many people running around. Well, he was. No, but he doesn't usually tell people about this, but he's very well vetted as a cryptolinguist, and he did this for the military for his career. And then he was teaching foreign languages in Missouri when he came out to see Al Berry and myself. Okay, excuse me, Scott.
So Scott,
that's all right. So yeah,
let me just ask you then. So you say transcribe it or decipher it or whatever. So is there anything? I mean, I know there's no basis for comparison because it's a complete different language. But is there any? Could you transcribe or decipher anything that the Sasquatch were saying? Or is it because
you're talking about translation?
Wasn't that what you said?
No, I said transcription.
Oh, okay.
I'm transcribing down the actual articulation of the language. Okay.
Okay.
By phonemes and combining phonemes into morphemes. Okay. It's just a matter of getting the phonetic sound down on paper.
Okay.
Okay. And from there, I mean, the operator or the translator or the transcriber, has to make his notes about, what's actually going on. You don't have to speak a language to know what's going on during the conversation, because you can hear it. You can hear the emotions. You can hear the speed of deliverance. Is there anxiety going on here? Or is this a question or is this an answer?
Yeah.
Okay. It's all there. If you slow it down enough, you hear it all in the Barry Morehead tapes. It's all there.
Yeah.
Even something that I believe is an expression of humor.
What would it take, Scott?
And anybody that hears that actually agrees with me that the big male is somehow making a joke and then laughing at his own joke. I swear to God. Yes, there's actually a place that, And
that's about as human as you could get.
It makes sense because
because it's so human, right? And what's humorous to us would be humorous to them.
Absolutely, they got an amazing sense of humor.
Oh, because they mess with our minds, like I said. I think they do.
Oh well, definitely they do that. I don't know if that's all there is to it, but they definitely there is some of that going on for sure. So what's the difference between typical human language and Sasquatch language? What are the I mean, I know that they have a much bigger, wider vocal range, or is it just the same, just a different language?
No, depth of resonance. You can tell that. Okay. Are you asking how can you tell human language from the Sasquatch language?
Well, what is
that we have on the tapes? Okay, here.
Yeah.
How do we know? How do we know it's not a human? There were lots of things, okay, that told me that right from the start. Okay, but there was something else that I discovered after about a year of listening to this stuff over and over again. Okay, I knew very quickly they spoke almost twice as fast as us. During just a regular conversation, it seemed to me to be almost twice as fast as us, because when I slowed it down, that's when I could begin to hear the articulated morphemes and phonemes. Okay, I had to slow it down to about 50. So one thing is they spoke almost twice as fast as us. They anticipated each other the same way that humans do, and they began answering each other even before the other person or the other speaker is done with their question, right? Or argument. Okay.
Is that telepathy, do you think?
I think no more so than the average man and wife who knows exactly what's coming out from the other person, because these creatures are obviously I believe they were mates. There's a male and a female. I believe they had to be mates, right? Because they had a young one with them.
Scott, at the end of their sentence, didn't they get a little sound or something, a little or something like that?
Oh, yeah. But that's just another element of language.
But that would also tell the other one that they're talking.
He's absolutely. But they talked over each other just like humans do. Even before, they gave that closure utterance, the closure. Yeah. But here's the bottom line of what I decided what is beyond argument as to how you can say that these creatures were not human. Besides the fact that they were way above human ability and way below human ability in the frequency of their utterances. Okay, here's the other thing that these creatures do that humans don't do, is that they articulate on the pant, on the inhale. Okay, humans are able to do it, but it's very, very difficult. I mean, it's like, I can speak out and then I can speak in. Okay, I can speak out where then I can speak in. No, humans, it's so almost impossible for humans to do it.
Yeah.
But these creatures on the tapes are doing it with ease.
And at a high volume.
It's like at high
volume. Like,
and high frequency.
Yeah.
High, not only high frequency and low frequency, but also the prosody of deliverance, the speed of deliverance is twice as fast as humans are able to do, I think, because they're doing it on the inhale as well as the outhale. I'm not saying they're twice as smart as human beings. I'm just saying they can speak pretty damn fast.
Can I make a statement? I need to make a statement.
Yes.
Everybody know who Dr. Lieberman was?
Who?
Dr. Lieberman, Brown University.
No.
Oh.
Well, he was a scientist who made a life project out of studying primate vocalizations, mainly the rhesus monkey. And he made the statement, and he teaches this. I got this through the internet too. He taught cognizance, but he said that only humans, this is important, only humans have the vocal mechanism for language like we're talking right now.
Right.
So if that's the case, these
correct.
things have a human component. There's something more to them, and they are a human hybrid, I think, or a type of a hybrid of some type. Some of them may have been here longer than us, longer than we have as a sapient species. But these things are sapient, I believe, and they have all the abilities we have, plus a few more that we don't understand yet.
Yeah.
But if you put all those three things together, Dr. Curlin said the tape was not manipulated. Scott's saying it has a language, and then Dr. Lieberman saying only humans have language. That kind of puts it all into 2 + 2 + 2 makes 6. I mean, there is a human component to them. So something gave them that. And I personally get into aliens and UFOs then because I think they've been visiting this planet for eons before we were even
Eons.
created.
Yeah.
That
Well,
takes
I
that
mean,
takes us all into a whole nother realm. Yeah, of course.
the DNA, the female part of the DNA, the mitochondrial, says that it is human. The
Right.
female part. So,
Of course,
You
Well,
know,
I wanted to thank
Acad-
both. I wanted to thank both you guys for doing this historic little thing we're talking about now. Is because as Ron was saying, this turns the door that they're not creatures, they're not hairy apes running around.
No, of course not.
They are
No.
they have a type of civilization, a type of language, a type of culture, and this makes them in the sapiens, they're Homo sapien
Yes,
something that whatever they
quite,
named
quite
it.
right. The language itself uh
just for the
means
fact,
sapience.
yeah.
Okay.
Just
Our
for
whole
what Ron said.
concept, our whole concept of sapience or human, Homo sapiens, right, is the fact that we have language.
Yeah.
Language is a deciding factor here. So of course they have sapience. Yes.
So I want to get into some I want to get into Ron in a bit too, but I wanted to ask you, Scott, while we got you motivated here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So what did that rock your world when you came to this conclusion? And what did you and what did
Yeah,
you do
I
after
couldn't-
that? Did you just sit on it for a while? Or?
You mean after the day I heard that?
Well,
In my classroom, it's like I'm like, yeah, I was in a fog for about 3 days, and then I decided, me and Steven, I said we need to get a hold of these tapes. So it kind of sent me on a detective. I mean, through some detective work, I found Ron. As a matter of fact, the first person I wrote was the BRFO, and they said we don't even want to go there, right?
Of course not. Of course
But
not.
we don't even want to go there. And they said,
Scumbags. What
and in
scumbags?
fact, I got a personal call from Matt himself, and he said,
Matt
"Look,"
Moneymaker.
he says, "if you bring this up, you're taking us back 30 years because you're bringing up stuff that nobody wants to talk. We're just trying to get them to get it, people to realize that they exist, let alone, I mean, we don't want to bring up all this, supernatural bullshit." And I said, okay, well, thank you. And then thank God, within a couple of days, I got a phone call from another DFRO person who I've never met and always wanted to meet her personally and thank her, who told me, he says, the person you want to get in touch with is Ron Morehead, and he owns a hotel and a restaurant in Mariposa, California. That's all I needed. Yeah. So after about 3 phone calls and about a half an hour on the phone with Ron, finally, when I got him, I convinced him that I wasn't just, one more of the cranks that he'd been dealing with for 35 years. Right? And and I convinced him to send me the tapes. In 2 days, I had them.
Yeah.
And in 4 months, I had them transcribed.
You came out and seen us, Scott. You've seen us personally.
And then after, when I was done, I'm like, no, I got to go out and meet, we got to get together. So we drove out and I met Ron and Al at Ron's house. Yeah.
Well, you know what these BFRO guys said doesn't make any sense. How is it going to set them back 30 years just for the fact of what Ron and you both said? The fact that they have language proves that they're human, right?
Well, I think that they thought that us coming out with saying that would have make them look like more charlatans. I think they were trying to overcome the idea that they're just fringe, wackos.
Yeah.
And here comes somebody even more wacko. right?
I
know?
think there's a little bit of jealousy, honestly. Like
Oh, well, of course there would be.
nobody, you know, at that point had anything close to what Ron had. Nobody, you know, 35 years that stood. I doubt there was anybody sitting around with anything
No.
similar.
No,
You
so
know?
Ron,
In fact, that's the first thing I asked him. When I got together with him, I saw him there. After we popped the first beer, of course, because I'd driven all the way from Kansas City, right, to Mariposa, California. So after we popped the first beer, and we're sitting there with the first question I asked him is, Ron, I don't understand why I would be the first person after 35 years to know that they were speaking a language. Because by that time I had read every freaking book I could get a hold of. I was not a Bigfoot guy. But because of that, you know, I said, there's got to be some documentation of this somewhere. So I read freaking everything. So I'm sitting there with Ron and Al, and I said, I can't believe that there's nothing that nobody ever noticed, that these creatures in your tapes are speaking a language.
Mm.
And Ron and Al looked at each other, and then Ron looked at me and says, Scott, we've always known. He said, in fact, for 35 years, we've been looking for anybody that would believe us and say that, they were actually trying to, they were certainly speaking a language to each other, and they were also trying to speak to us.
You know, we don't know at that time how important language was to, if there's a human component to them or not. We never thought that way. It never entered our minds that you have to be human to speak sapient language like that. And we knew they were communicating with that, just very, very much like not Fred Beck, but Osman up in when he was captured in Colombia.
up in BC
he
here.
said they were chattering amongst themselves, and that's in John Green's book. So we knew there's been other historical things about that happening, but still, we didn't know how significant it was at the time.
Mm.
And I just found this out last few years, you know, that language, how I knew language is important, but not this important. It means there's a human component to these things. And really, that really can't be denied with all the professionalism we've had behind it, with the Dr. Curlin, with Scott Nelson, two-time graduate of school, and with Dr. Lieberman's statement, only humans have it. However, if you get way into the alien component, what created us? What created them?
Wow.
You know, what happened? You get into all that stuff. But the thing is, I've been all over the world, and I've seen remnants of alien intervention into this world. And the technology they had back then is higher than what we got now. So if they can, plus Scott also teaches comparative religions, and you get into how what the Anunnaki was. Did they create the cuneiform text for the Sumerians, and where did all that come from? That's our first written language. You get into that, and it tells you so much more than what our current text that we read called the Bible or something like that. It really tells us, because there's even the word Elohim, Elohim, is a term they use in the cuneiform text for God.
Elohim.
Yeah, for God. And in that cuneiform text, which there's thousands of them, by the way, God was always in the plural.
Yeah.
And also the light beings and the I should let Scott talk about this, but it's so fun and so interesting to talk about and to research, because all the history has come from, well, pretty much written history has come from those cuneiform texts originally. It shows you how much our Bible, our current Bible, has been manipulated through whatever king was in charge at the time of having them interpreted. But I'm just saying that it's fun looking into this stuff, and I would encourage anybody to look into it, because you get some of my best memories with Scott was up on that mountain when he and I were just one-on-one, him talking about this stuff, because it gets you into it. And I mean, it's so interesting how even the masters did certain things and why they did them, and man, it goes on and on.
So Ron, when did you start going up to the camp there, and what was the first kind of things that that happened? And when did you realize what you were dealing with?
I still don't realize.
Oh
what we're
boy.
doing. Still don't know. Well, this we should have talked about at the very beginning. I went up there in '71 with some people that I knew who were the hunters of that area. One guy wouldn't go back because he got freaked off, scared away, and I went back. I went back with him to see if the guys were okay because they hadn't came out when they should have, and they were okay. But anyway, that got me involved in the group. I was friends with them all, so I kind of knew them, but I wasn't a hunter at the time. But I got me a rifle and some guns, and I thought, I'm going to start hunting these. I want to get involved in this thing because whatever it is exciting. I was 29 then, and you know, people ask me, weren't you scared up there when all this sounds going on? Well, you got 44 Magnum on your side. You got these other guys with 7mm and Magnums, and you kind of feel like you got a certain amount of security there. But I don't know that we would have. I know we'd all been deaf if they came in after that shelter after us because we'd all shot at the same time. But anyway, that's what got me interested in it, and I started going back to as often as I could, several times a year. Anytime somebody could go with me, I'd go up there and hopefully encounter them, because it didn't happen every time, but it certainly happened a lot. And then we started recording them, and Al Berry's the one who really fostered the studies, and had it been for that, we wouldn't be talking today, because he got the science in it. He got involved with Dr. Curlin finally, who took an unbiased look at these things and did a year-long report and presented it in a book called Anthropology of the Unknown by UCB Press. 1980, they printed it. He gave his lecture up there in 1976, it was. And Al Berry had sought after professors. He went to Dr. Lieberman, who turned him away because he thought he went to another professor out of Washington State, and a language professor. And they all thought he was a disgruntled student trying to make them look bad, because only primates can speak, right? Only gorillas can't speak, and they had their minds made up. If there's something out there, which doubtful there is, they thought it can't speak because only humans can speak. So there's where they were. That's where a lot of people are today, and that's too bad, because I think through my research and my 50 some odd years of doing this, I think I put the dots together that they have to have a human component, and that's one reason they are so elusive. And do they have other attributes we don't have? Like, can they disappear? You know, we only see within 430 and 770 terahertz. That's our vision. That's our frequency, our light's frequency. And all these other frequencies are going on out there, and we don't see them. We don't see ghosts. Or some people do. I guess I can see off in that fourth dimension of time. And, you know, but a lot of aliens are in a higher frequency than we are. We don't see them, but they got technology which they can cloak. They can change their matter into energy. And they do that. You hear all these reports, oh, it just shot off just like that. Well, it disappeared. Some people say it just disappeared. Anyway, there's a lot going on that we need to open our eyes to, that we're not restricted. We shouldn't be restricted by our third density frequency that we're in. Yeah.
Hey, Brian, can I have a screen share? I got a little news update.
Yeah, let me just, I'll share it while I ask Ron this question. Do you think, I think you're probably going to say all of the above. I think it's probably a dumb question, but do you think that they were, when you were hearing them, were they talking to you? Were they talking about you, or were they just talking amongst themselves, or all three?
All three. Yeah, you're right. Stupid question. No,
it was kind of, but you know, just to clarify. But you did feel that they were trying. I guess the most important one of those is that they were trying to communicate with you.
Absolutely.
Because obviously, if they're talking back and forth, they're talking to each other.
Well, yeah, and or they're arguing over who's going to put the salt and pepper on us. We didn't know that. But you can tell by the inflections, as Scott mentioned, by and that's when I would answer them back, try to mimic them, not even thinking they were speaking a language, or I knew they were speaking a language, but not something they thought I might be able to understand, because I didn't understand. And why didn't they mind speak to me like they do? So many people claim they do. Well, I'm too analytical, too thick-headed, probably. So they thought they had to go out and speak orally to me.
There's different kinds of mind. There's different kinds of mind speak, though. It's not just the classic voice in your head. It can be like thought placement. They can be guiding you, or they can be guiding you to discover something to lead you along.
Yeah.
the path you're taking. So there's all kinds of stuff
You know, I
going
think it
on.
all gets into the pineal gland inside our head. You know, that's a receptor of information. And once you get into that and learn how to communicate, how to let it communicate with you, that'll lead you in everything that you're supposed to be doing. That's called the
Yeah.
gut feeling too, when your heart is in coherence with your brain and they're all in rhythm. And when that happens, you got to meditate to get that way. It takes a lot of that. Right.
I
A
mean,
lot of
because
people do that all the time.
for instance, I've had mind speak where I've had like, sounds crazy. I'd be in nut house 50 years ago, but had voices talking in my head. But most of my experience is thought placement, where I'll have a thought. I wonder if they did this, and then the answer, as soon as I formulate the thought, is right at my feet or right somewhere for me to discover. It's like they put the thought in your head and give you the answer. That's a powerful version of mind speak. That's actually even bypassing the words. It's kind of like,
we live in a linear time frame, every day after day after day, linear. Time doesn't exist like that. If you really get into how time is, how many consciousness you think's out there in the universe, all the different aliens, all different worlds that are inhabited. Well, the answer is one. There's just one consciousness. We're all really part of that. We just haven't learned how to evolve out of it with our being. We're headed that way. We all are. We're all headed that way, but we're not there yet. And I think probably all the information is out there and available to us at this moment in time. All these other dimensions are available to us. These different frequencies are available to us. We have a lot to learn how to evolve yet and do that. And you do that through meditation, I think. And
well, Mr. Beans one time had a guy, he had an experience. I can't remember exactly, but I'll just paraphrase it. With this guy knew everything about his life, like about people's lives from the past, present, and future, right? Okay. Yeah. That's what the Sasquatch have, that ability. That's why they're such great as being teachers, and that's why they can that's why they know everything about you before you even formulate the thought, kind of thing, or whatever. And that's really is my experience.
Even Einstein, Stephen Hawking, energy, as we all are made of, cannot die. It can only change forms. So I think we've all got that, everything about us. We're just not there yet.
Yeah, I got that share screen going for you, Beans, if you want to share something.
Okay. This is from our friend Cindy Lawrence. And she's watching the show, and she's always been on the show watching us. And this is her taking a picture from the back of her property of her house last night. And I just think it's a stunning picture. But it's just what we were talking about, the Sasquatch know in advance what's going to go on, or they can place something there. This was, if you can look at this picture and you look right underneath the window in that back house, and that's what you see here. See that guy right there?
Yeah.
That's a Sasquatch.
Can you zoom in some more?
I can't zoom in on with this application, no.
I
But
can.
that's what that is. You guys see that?
Yeah. What you need, I think, when something like
If you
that
drop,
happens, is another
if you
picture.
drop it.
Yeah, but just see, but
sorry, if you drop
that
it in
image,
admin chat, I can zoom in for you.
that image is in both pictures, though.
Right.
Did she have one without that image?
You need another picture.
It's the
with a
same
person.
picture. It's the
need
same
another-
picture. This is from a little bit further away, and that's from a little bit closer. They're taking a couple.
Yeah, but
need
does
a
she have a
picture-
picture without that in it?
That's right. That's what I'm trying
Well,
to
ask
get at.
Cindy that.
Well, send us a picture without that in it.
Yeah,
But although maybe
What
she's
science would say is that could be an inference.
Anyway, I just thought that would fit in with this conversation because to me, it feels like the Sasquatch knew this was coming, especially this kind of stuff, and they're just giving us a little update. This was from last night, so less than 12 hours ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if
Yeah.
you took another
I would like to see the picture with the before and after picture, but maybe she doesn't have one, and I'm not questioning that it isn't. So
I sent you a smaller.
Cindy said, will do. She says yes to whatever it was your question was. She has pictures of the house without the Sasquatch, and she's going to send it to us if she can, get get to it. I'm not going to ask her to go out in her backyard and make a picture of the house while we're on live on air.
So what did your astute colleagues say, Scott, when you got into the weird and wacky world of Sasquatch? Did they say, "Oh, Scott's gone off the deep end," or did you get any flack?
Who's that? I'm sorry. The initial
Your,
question.
your astute colleagues. What did they say when you got into the
My
wacky world of
colleagues.
Sasquatch? Were they saying, "Oh, this guy's like gone off
Weirdly-
the deep end"?
Weirdly, do you remember Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom
Yeah,
with Marlon Perkins?
absolutely.
Okay. Marlon Perkins was a graduate of Wentworth Military College, where I was working when all of this happened. So when I started doing it, I kind of tongue-in-cheek started doing it as far as the college was concerned. I was doing it just to carry on with tradition. Marlon Perkins was one of the first ones to go up over to Everest in search of the Yeti, if you remember.
Yeah.
And the school, even my whole time there at the school, we had a big case, a big showcase all about Marlon Perkins' expeditions up to in the Himalayas in search of the abominable snowman. So anyway, as far as my colleagues were concerned, I kind of sold it as that, and they played along. So
Can I comment on that?
So I got lucked out on there. Yeah.
All right, you guys know who Peter Byrne is.
Yeah.
Well, did you see the episode where Scott's talking about where they went in and looked at this Yeti hand supposedly that was being guarded by the shaman, but not the shaman, but
The monks.
indigenous
monks.
people. No, indigenous
Yeah.
people.
I've
Anyway,
heard of it.
well, prior to Marlon Perkins going in there, Peter Byrne went over there on an expedition. He went up and got the guard drunk. I know this from direct conversation with Peter. He told me about it. I know Peter quite well. And he got the guy half drunk and changed one of the fingers on that Yeti hand with a human finger. So when Marlon Perkins and his group got there, they found the human finger. So they said, well, it's not real. Well, that finger, you can hear all this for this. It's really good, the story. But that finger, he confiscated it and sent it out. And Jimmy Stewart was a good friend of Peter Burns. And he sent it out, and Jimmy him in his wife's lingerie, because they wouldn't think about searching something like that. And somewhere it got
Jimmy
lost.
Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart, yeah, in his wife's lingerie, and it ended up over in England somewhere, and nobody can find it to this day. But he writes about that in one of his books, I think.
Yeah.
But that was getting the inside story on that was kind of fun.
Don't get me going on my impersonations. I can do a few of those. Jimmy Stewart.
Peter's
some of
still
those
with
guys.
us, by the way. He's in his late 90s too.
Yeah.
Of course, we're all still around, but a lot of people are not around. I know a lot of our group has passed away now. I just talked to Bill McDowell the other day. He was my buddy up there with our packing mules and stuff, and he's still in good shape, but he's one of the only ones.
You had animals up there. How did the animals act when the Sasquatch were around? Did you have mules and stuff?
That's a good question. Yeah. Good question. They didn't act up like a bear would. Like if a bear was around, they'd start pawing and everything else. If a bear was around, and that would happen too. But when these things were around, they just like frozen, just standing at attention, like something's, I don't know. I mean, that they would point their ears right towards the sounds. And I know when Warren and I were up, they got something going on, I think, with infrasound. I believe that large animals use infrasound to communicate and to find the mates and stuff like that. But Warren Johnson and myself walked up towards this tree when one of them was, we know was probably behind this tree because we heard it bouncing off inside. We shoot out the door right quick, we'll see it run away. We shot out the door right quick and started walking up towards this tree together. And we both got froze like we was in a force field, like related. and we couldn't go forward. And when we got close to that tree, we never see anything run away. So we thought, whatever it is, Warren looked at me and said, I can't move any further. I think go. I said, I can't either. So we just had to back off and get inside the shelter again. As soon as we did, it started bouncing off again. So they got up, and that happened to me once when I was by myself out in the woods. I wasn't even thinking about Bigfoot. I just walk along and bam, I got to look around trying to find what the source of it. How could that happen? I couldn't see a thing around me, and yet it happened. So they have a way of projecting their energy to affect you. And I don't know if it's different sound or if it's what it is, but they can
Has that too, where you can,
do that
it feels like you're walking through a force field.
if you can walk through it. You can't walk through
Yeah, or not walk at all, but sometimes
yeah.
it's just like, oh, you know, like it differently. One time they put Randy Brisson and I right on our knees. We call it being zapped. And we were crawling around on the forest floor on our knees, and we were saying, God, I sure hope that nobody comes around and sees us like this. They're gonna, what in the heck are these guys doing? And we were
have your backs to each other, one or the other.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but you can't say that kind of stuff these days. But that's what we were thinking. They're going to think that we're, but anyway, we couldn't do anything for basically for a couple hours. We were trying to do a fire ring for a ceremony, and even an hour later, I could only pick up one rock and put it there, and then I had to rest. And we were just like, man, we got sapped like you wouldn't believe. But they've never ever done anything that I felt was threatening or to hurt me or whatever. I just think that they just gave a little bit too much oomph on that one. But